Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wintz. We've got a lot to talk about. I mentioned that we are going to start doing region weather lives, especially during periods of more active weather, which is what we're getting into that kind of season around here, obviously. I mentioned we'd be doing region weather lives, kind of splitting the week. We're going to do Sunday evenings as usual. We'll do Wednesday evenings as usual as well. And it's just fitting that we have an active pattern that's going to take shape next week. We're getting into it now, but next week's when we're going to start to dance around with some cold air for the first time this season. We've been so spoiled. It's November, it's cold, or it's going to get cold. I know that's not usually big news, but this is a pretty interesting pattern next week that brings a lot of snow chances, and it really kicks off a lot of lake effect as well. So I want to keep you updated on the latest with that. The other thing that obviously I got into on the post this morning is that there's just so much junk right now in the weather, Facebook, YouTube, social media world in terms of click here, major winter storm, Arctic blast. Like, just stop with the terms. It's November. It's going to get cold. Okay. This isn't going to be off the charts cold, but we've got snow on the way. And the reason why I think you should be up on the latest, because we have a lot of snowplower drivers. We have a lot of people rely on that for an income that are curious of the forecast. Most of us are just curious about that first snow in general. So I don't want this to come across as like huge headlines, major snow coming our way next week, blizzard, click here, all that stuff. That's not the case. All right. I just want to keep you up to date on the latest. We specialize on no hype, and I am not hyping this up, but I want to get you the information coming from an actual degreed meteorologist who's been in the business for 15 years and running. God willing, I want you to know that's where my heart's coming from, okay, is information that I want to get to you. It's not to blow things up. I'm not getting loads of money for doing a broadcast, all right? I'm having dinner with my family, got done with it, and I said, kids, I'll be right back. We're going to go do a broadcast to get some information across, okay? So that's where my heart is. Hope you know that. All right, want to say hi to our early birds. Mary, hello. Thanks for joining us. Gail's with us tonight. Alyssa says she's not ready for snow. Alyssa, get ready. I think we're going to have some next week. Angie, you're absolutely welcome. Again, we're going to keep this more on the regular on Wednesday evenings as well. Sage Yourself is with us on our YouTube channel. Appreciate that. Let's see. Jay's looking for a white Friday after Thanksgiving. All right. And Max says Facebook not working. That's okay, Max. We got you here tonight. And the good news is, for those of you that joined me on Sunday night, I wasn't able to see. I don't know what was wrong with our software, but I wasn't able to see the names on Facebook. So everyone came across as a Facebook user. Happy to report that I can see your names tonight. So that's some good news. It seemed really general and generic last Sunday, but I appreciate those of you that joined. All right, so let's get to the information that we've got coming across here in terms of snow. Want to briefly, this is a bonus broadcast for our sponsors, but guys, all of our sponsors are local. Our software, all the model stuff that I use, it's some of the best stuff, and they quadrupled the price in the last 2 months, which I'm not happy about. Everything just went up price wise, obviously, groceries, all that stuff. But anyway, these sponsors keep it for free. I would put my name behind any of them. They're all local to Northwest Indiana. FBIbuildings.com. If you need a new pole barn constructed, residential, commercial, they've done over 20,000 of them. Meals on Wheels of Northwest Indiana. They're looking for more information, or they're looking for volunteers to help serve meals. Which is awesome. You get to bring smiles to people. If you are interested in that, on the broadcast on Sunday night, we gave the number. Go ahead and private message me if you need. I'll send that number to you to call if you want to deliver some meals and volunteer some of your time. That would be a huge thing. PSA, that's our public service adjusters. It's publicserviceadjusting.com. If you have an insurance claim, don't go to your insurance company. Go to them first. They will do everything. Come out, take pictures. They'll be the go-between between you and the insurance agency. You don't have to do anything, and they'll get you more money than what you normally get. Publicserviceadjusting.com. Tigerplumbing.net. That's our area plumber. They're awesome. They've been with us for almost 3 years now. Jeff and team are just amazing. You can schedule online. They do everything. They do everything. They install new faucets. If water's not running a certain way, they'll fix it, and they do a great job doing that. And they come out for free, which is huge. Minogue.life. That is our expert. Michael is our expert on the world of Medicaid and Medicare and life insurance. A lot of you are overpaying for life insurance. Some of you are underpaying for life insurance. That's not something you want to risk, all right? So he'll sit down with you and come up with an individualized plan for you. There's a lot of new rules coming our way and new laws coming our way next year that you're going to be automatically enrolled in. He would love to have a consultation with you, sit down and sort it out and get you exactly what you need. May even save you money in the long run. Minogue.life is the website. Kate Cusack for Ruoff Mortgage. She is our local lender that we love here in Northwest Indiana. If you're looking for a refinance or looking for your first home, she is the one to go to. Kate Cusack, Home Loan Girl on Facebook. She's a wonderful individual to work with. So many of you swear by her. So if you're looking in the market for that or a refinance as rates come down, she's the person to contact there. Finally, last but not least, Greekers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Valparaiso. They've been serving Northwest Indiana for decades. They're right on US 30. They've got new Jeeps with four-wheel drive. Do we need the four-wheel drive? Let's jump into it as we get into the forecast. So we want to thank all of our sponsors, though. All right, first things first, briefly, we've got rain moving in. This is much needed rain. We had a good soaking rain a couple days ago over the weekend. That's kind of cutting into our drought. This rain is not just putting a Band-Aid on it, all right, which is what previous rains have done. This is actually cutting into some of those numbers, which is great. This rain here tonight, it's already moving in. It's going to be with us for much of the night into the early part of the day tomorrow. I don't expect the rain to linger much tomorrow, but the clouds will. But you can see pretty good batch of rain moving in. You probably ask, well, how much rain? Well, let's talk about it. Here comes the rain. This is the computer model guidance. Moderate to heavy at times, and then it'll back off, and then we'll get another little moderate burst or so. There's pretty good moisture content with this. And notice how it lasts. This is tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning out the door, bulk of it's east, but we still have some scattered downpours in the area. Temperatures is kind of raw with this, not the prettiest of rains. Temperatures will be in the 40s through the duration. And notice how as we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening, it's becoming very scattered, but the lake effect potential in terms of showers will continue. So we'll have clouds that kind of hang around tomorrow afternoon and evening. We'll have periodic drizzle, maybe some leftover showers. Overall, the bulk of it moves through tonight. And how much are we talking? Well, there you go. This is pretty much the consensus on most of the modeling, anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch if we get some good downpours. Right now, it looks like those will be centered downstate and a little pocket up there towards Racine, Wisconsin. So we are going to get some rain out of this. Again, much needed. It's a good thing. Morning rush hour, you're going to have some rain around. Keep that in mind. I might need to leave a little extra early tomorrow. Okay. All right. Let's dive into big picture pattern because this is what I want to be focused on really over the next probably week and a half. We're going to be talking about this model guidance and just meteorology in general. If you haven't been around the field and you just have been looking at your iPhone for the last 3 years, it's coming a long way. I mean, it's come a long way in the last really 5 years or so, where we're able to look now at not just 7 days out, but we can look 10 to 15 days out now, and we can see general patterns, and we can get a pretty good idea of something that's going to happen 15 days out. 10 days out, obviously a better deal for that. But in terms of snow and details and stuff like that, we can see patterns. So I see a colder, snowier pattern that's moving in, but we can't fine tune the details yet. I can't tell you a week and a half from now it's going to snow on a certain day and here's how much snow we're going to get. That's still because there's so much chaos in the atmosphere and because snowflakes are all different sizes and we need to get down to predicting the size a day out or so. I mean, there's so many variables that go into snowfall predicting that I can't give you totals this far out. And if someone is, it's a bunch of junk, all right? And they're ruining the world of meteorology because it's not possible at this point, all right? So what we're looking at is a pattern, all right? That's why we titled this pattern. And I'll show you what the models are saying now. It doesn't mean they're 100% true, but there is some confidence that a lot of this is going to end up being true, all right? So I'm not wasting your time saying, hey, it's going to snow on this day, and then it's not going to, because we're confident it's going to at some point. I'll show you the range. I'll show you the questions right now, at least in my mind, in terms of the forecast. All right, I want to start with the main flow across the country. This is your air masses or your heights in the atmosphere. Bottom line, it's warm underneath these ridges where you see these darker colors. And then when you get into the greens and blues, that's the colder stuff, all right? The in-between yellows and oranges, that's usually where the jet stream is, where all the action is with storm systems, all right? We're still on the mild side. I mean, it's not hot, but it's mild. We're still going to be in the 50s really through the weekend as we settle in some nice air here over the course of Saturday and Sunday. And then watch what happens. So we've got cold air that's going to dump into Western Canada, all right, over the course of the weekend. All right. And normally that would sit there for a day or so. And the way we get cold typically our first cold, is that some kind of cold front or low pressure has to develop and pull it in. All right. And once you know it, right on cue, the cold air dumps into Western Canada, and then this low pressure develops Monday into Monday night in the central and southern plains. All right. This low is going to be the driver of that pattern change. So this low heads north. We're now into Tuesday. We're now into Tuesday night and Wednesday. And this low comes into the central plains. It deepens and really starts to pull that Canadian air down into the U.S. And I'm not talking like Minnesota and North Dakota. I'm talking like Texas and down towards Arkansas. It really pulls this air down, and it starts to cool as this low develops as well. So you can see on the maps here, this is next Thursday and Friday. So we're talking the 21st and 22nd. We've got a powerhouse low in the plain states. The wind is whipping all around this thing. You've got the warm side out ahead of it, the cold side back behind it. And then watch how this evolves. Into next weekend, the Euro continues to develop that low. It develops another lobe around it of some energy or a reinforcing shot of some cold air. And then this just continues Sunday into Monday. And then another lobe comes down into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yep, that Thursday is Thanksgiving of the following week. So there's your pattern change, right? Where we're no longer talking ridge. We're not talking wind out of the south. We're talking a totally different air mass that has existed in the western U.S. all fall, but it's finally going to come here with some cold air. And we're talking not just some cold air, but some unseasonably cold air around here with this one. All right, so let's dive into the details because there's a little nuance in the forecast and a lot of, and again, I don't want to give folks attention, but a lot of these junk websites that you're seeing and kids that are in their basement, which is fine. God bless you. I hope you are a great meteorologist one day. But these people that are posting the clickbait out there, they don't understand why the models are differing, but they just know that they change every day or so. And they're like, why did it change? Here's why it changed, all right? This is another level kind of meteorology that maybe you need or maybe you don't, but I like to teach, all right? School visits with the kids are always my favorite thing. So this is something I want to teach you, all right? The models are going to change based on one thing, and it's this tropical system that's developing down in the Caribbean right now. You see it right here. Yes, tropical season is not over till late November. There's actually no timeline on it, as we've had storms in December before, but tropical season's still kind of going, all right? So this is expected to develop into a tropical storm sometime between tomorrow and Thursday. And yeah, it's way down towards Yucatan, Honduras. Like, why would we have to worry about this, right? Well, the models are differing based on how it handles the evolution of this tropical system, all right? It's not waiting on, it's not trying to figure out how this low develops. It's waiting to see what this tropical system does. Because those of you that have been with me long enough know that everything waits for a hurricane or a tropical storm. Tropical storms and hurricanes dominate the atmosphere. They're such strong areas of low pressure, albeit compact. What they do is they basically put a big stop sign up to everything that's west of it here in the United States. So if there's a hurricane or a tropical system coming into Florida or the southeastern U.S., everything that was moving in the U.S. in terms of cold fronts and weather patterns, they often stop and they wait for that system to do its thing before it pushes on out, and then everything gets moving again. So that's the difference in the models right now. We know there's cold air coming. We know there's some snow coming with that as well because 'tis the season for snow, right? But we don't know when exactly that cold air hits. Does it hit early next week or does it hit later next weekend? That's the difference in the modeling, and it all is based on that tropical system down in the Gulf. So I'll show you what I mean. We'll take you through the models. Just for fun, I'll show you the Fantasyland snowfall totals coming in, all right? It's not going to blow your mind, but there is snow coming, all right? Just a precursor. This is the latest Euro model, all right? And the Euro brings the rain through here now. I'm going to stay zoomed out just so we can kind of see how everything evolves from the west. But the rain kind of moves out, all right? We have some lingering, perhaps lake effect around here Thursday night into Friday morning. And then we're quiet for a couple days. Pretty nice looking Saturday. And then Sunday we start to flirt with some rain chances. All right, low pressure one goes north. We don't have to worry about that. That kind of brings a front in here, which will lay the train tracks for the second system to go. But watch what's happening in the Gulf. This is next Monday now. Area of low pressure getting going down towards the Yucatan, says the Euro. Here's our low pressure that's the driver of that pattern change. And here's the cold air dumping into the western U.S. Okay, that's your Monday setup. It's quiet here, but things are really getting going. All three of our key players are getting going next Monday. All right. As we go into Monday night and Tuesday, the Euro develops this low a little bit further, Cold air continues to dump in the western U.S. This low pressure starts to pick up that cold air and kind of wrap it in a little bit. So you're seeing some of that rain changing to snow on the backside. Rockies are going to get more snow again as well. And then here's our little tropical system down in the Gulf. Doesn't look too strong yet, but the Euro says it's going to develop further. So as we go through time, let's take it into Wednesday of next week now. This is not the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Remember, Thanksgiving's late again this year. So this is the week before Thanksgiving, which is next week. All right. Let's not get confused because I've already got confused on when Thanksgiving is several times. But this is next Wednesday. Euro develops that tropical system probably into either a tropical storm or a hurricane. It takes it into Florida. And why is that important that it develops that and takes it into Florida? If that happens, this low pressure has to wait. All right. It has to wait on that system to go. And so the Euro, because it develops this system as a stronger tropical storm or hurricane at this point, it is slower in bringing that cold air and the snow in here. All right. So you'll notice this is Wednesday. We've got still kind of we're on the warm side of this system. All the cold air is down in Texas and out in areas of Minnesota and western Iowa. All right. Tropical system, says the Euro, heads on out by Friday. Now everything's allowed to move again in the Central Plains. So that brings some showers in here Friday. That eventually changes some snow showers by Friday night into Saturday. Again, this is the fantasy part that we don't know the timing yet. All right. I'm just telling you what the models are saying at this point. We don't know that next Friday into Saturday we're going to change rain over to snow. Okay. But this is the potential of what's going to happen. All right. So the Euro has next Saturday, this is the 23rd, with a pretty good batch of snow around here. It also has the Great Lakes going pretty well. Notice how that batch of energy heads east by Sunday. We get another low, lake effects going, by the way, Sunday into Monday, mainly southwest lower Michigan. And then Monday into Tuesday, we get another system, says the Euro, in here. And that brings an area-wide accumulating snow kind of on the southern fringe of this trough of cold air, which is always a good place to be if you like snow. That moves out, and notice how it just keeps that snow coming all the way through Thanksgiving with lake effect potential in LaPorte County, says the Euro. Again, too early to call for that, but that would be the setup for LaPorte, for Berrien County out towards South Bend. And keep in mind, our lake water is running anywhere from 4 to 6 degrees above average. And so what that does, that makes that difference between lake water temperature and that cold air coming in and makes it even greater, which increases the instability of our lake effect snow machine when you get cold air over the lake. So the potential's there for some of this lake effect snow, if it were to materialize, to be on the heavier side wherever it falls, and heavier than it would normally be if our lake temperature were average, a couple degrees cooler. So that does make a big difference, but this would paint really just quite a snowy scene. I'm going to take it back, and you can see the Euro has basically Saturday the 23rd all the way through Thanksgiving with snow chances around. Not an all-out snow event for us here in the region, but snow would be around the Great Lakes, and it would ebb and flow, and we'd get some periodically, okay? So that's the latest Euro, and that's really the reason why I wanted to do a podcast tonight, because that's impressive. I mean, that's an impressive pattern where we don't just get a hit of snow, we get multiple days of snow potential and multiple rounds of lake effect kind of wobbling back and forth through Thanksgiving, all right? And that would impact travel. In terms of travel, this would be your travel Wednesday, all right, before. Again, we'll revisit this as we get closer to the event to see what the models are doing. But this would have a windy, cold scenario across all the Great Lakes. So if you're traveling anywhere in the Great Lakes region, we would have windy, cold weather, and we'd have lake effect snow bands that are set up. Again, it wouldn't be an area-wide snow. There'd likely be snow flying in the cold air. But some of these lake effect areas that are, downwind of the lakes, obviously, and in the right fetch, depending on how this fetch comes across the lakes, we could have some pretty snowy travel on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. All right. So that's the Euro, but the Euro is not the only model. The other model that I look at is the GFS, which is another traditional global model. It's the American model. We also have the GEM model. There are a bunch of other models mixed in, like branches of the Euro and stuff like that. But these are the two major models I'm going to show you because they show the two major trends right now. Okay. So this is the GFS. I'm going to kind of fast forward. We get the rain over the course of tomorrow. Here's your system developing. It agrees. Low 1 goes north. Not much fanfare here. And then here comes your second low, developing Monday into Tuesday. Everything on track, right? Matches the Euro. So we're pretty confident this is going to happen. Here comes the cold air in the western U.S. Here's the low as it gets going, starts to grab that. Rain changes to snow. Anyone notice something missing on this? Yeah, the tropical system down in the Gulf, it doesn't have it. I mean, it has some moisture with it, but it doesn't develop it into a hurricane. So, where's the difference in that, and what does it play into the forecast? Well, because there's not a tropical storm, nothing has to wait. So, that low pressure comes in quicker. So, the GFS has continued to be, over the last couple runs, on the quicker side of the evolution of this cold air. So, we don't have to wait till Saturday next week to get the snow. The GFS starts it up right here next Wednesday night into Thursday. You guys see the difference on that? We either change over to snow on Saturday next week or we change over Wednesday, Thursday. That's a big difference in the modeling. That's why the confidence isn't really there in terms of the timing of this. We know it's going to happen at some point, but the timing's not there. All right. So the GFS, if you like snow, you're going to like this model because it develops this low, brings snow in here Wednesday night into Thursday of next week. It develops that same little lobe of energy that brings area-wide snow, and then it kicks off the lake effect snow machine. Thursday, we're now into Friday. We're now into Saturday. Another lobe of energy sinks south by Sunday. That would kickstart some lake effect for us here in the region and make it heavier, and then that continues into Monday. It winds down briefly, and then it brings another system through with some snow Tuesday into Wednesday, and then it brings some kind of other snow, which would be accumulating, but we'd be right on the rain snow line for Thanksgiving itself. All right. So active pattern. And I think the takeaway from this, I'll show you some of the totals just to show you because it's always fun to look at. I can't not show you if I'm looking at them and I'm like, ooh, okay. I can't not show that to you. All right. But I do want to give you a disclaimer before I show you snowfall totals, right? They're not right. Okay. They're way far in the future. It's just showing kind of what the potential is and what the models are thinking is going to happen. Okay. But we'll look at them anyway because it's super fun. The one takeaway from this is that, yes, we're going to get colder. All right. And we're going to get colder sometime later next week. And that cold looks to stick around. It doesn't look to be progressive like a lot of our colds have been over the last couple winters. It looks to be one that kind of comes in, and then you get these reinforcing shots of that cold air that would keep it around for at least 5 or 6 days, maybe more than that. But as of right now, it looks like a 5-6 day stretch of lake effect snow and cold. All right. Which again, previous winters, that's been hard to do. We would get cold and snow, and then it would warm right back up in that El Nino pattern. A little bit different than this La Nina pattern this year, albeit a weak one. But the other takeaway is, and this is the other thing I'm observing meteorologically, is that we're going to set this cold air in here. But more importantly, we're going to kind of develop the storm track right over the region after that. So the cold air settles, and then that storm track for any bigger storms with Gulf of Mexico moisture is going to set up pretty close to us. So we would be in the ballpark for at least the potential for winter storms the subsequent week after that. All right. So what you always look for if you're looking for winter storms and where they're going to set up, you look for where the cold air dives in and where it stops and where it meets that warm air. All right. And if you're right on that boundary, that's typically where low pressures will travel, with the north side of it being heavy snow in the winter, the south side being the warm air and even severe weather. All right. And what I see going into, Thanksgiving week and beyond is that, look at this, cold air's just settled right here. And this is where the line is. All right. So that would set up any storm tracks where we could be on the snowy side, depending on the track of it. But those are where you get your heavier area-wide snows versus the lake effect snow we're talking about. Okay? All right. So that's what I've got. Let's get in there. As always on these Region Weather Lives, I always like to answer your questions. So you can go ahead and throw some questions in the chat. All right. I haven't read any comments yet, so I've been too busy excited about this snow coming in, right? But anyway, go ahead, throw questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer those for you. Then we'll get you on your way here tonight. I know you've got dinner and evening plans and stuff going, so I don't want to take any more of your time. But also, what I want to show you is the snowfall totals, okay? So let's get into that. We'll dive in. I don't want to get too specific here. Well, let's just get specific. Why not? Let's just counteracting everything I stand for. All right, here we go. So let's look at the GFS snowfall totals. This is the 12Z. Here we go, getting a little snowy. This is next Thursday, by next Friday, by next Saturday, by next Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Here's Thanksgiving. So the GFS as of now, again, this is not true. We're just peeking at it because how can you not look at it? It's saying anywhere from 2 to 4 inches. That's not bad, right? In Northwest Indiana. It's got a nice strip of 6 to 9 over towards areas of Illinois. And then you can see the lake effect machine with over a foot of snow possible by Thanksgiving in areas of southwest lower Michigan, over towards South Bend, LaPorte County. You could get in on that. So those are some of the totals coming in from the GFS. Again, not accurate, but they're there, and we're going to look at them, okay? And we'll continue to fine-tune that as we get closer. Let's look at the Euro real quick. So Euro, remembers, much slower with the arrival of the snow. So this is Saturday. This is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here's your Thanksgiving, okay? And this is a little bit more detailed, but you can see some of the numbers coming in by Thanksgiving, saying a general, I mean, that seems to be good consensus, a general 2 to 6 inches in the region. Some of that would probably melt initially. Good 4 to 8 over in Illinois. And then the lake's just going gangbusters with anywhere from, some of these totals coming in. South Bend, 11 inches, 5.8 in Valparaiso. Oh, that's not South Bend. I'm sorry. That's LaPorte. So a foot of snow in LaPorte. And then you get up into southwest lower Michigan, the Euro's thinking maybe 12 to 22 inches of snow, which I could see given the prolonged lake effect setup, the warm lakes, and that cold air that's going to be constantly flowing over it. So we could get some really impressive totals out of this before it's all said and done. All right. It is early on this. I just want you to know that. Again, we will continue to fine tune that forecast. Please don't watch this broadcast or any other broadcast, whether it be TV or whatever, and then don't listen to anything for the next 1.5 weeks and then say, hey, they said it was going to snow on Wednesday. They're so crazy and wrong all the time. What a job. You can get paid for it. Huh? Okay, don't do that. All right, stay up to the latest on this. Okay, and I'm not asking to be your source for this. Okay, just make sure your source is reputable. Okay, we will continue to keep you updated on this, but just make sure you stay tuned to it, because we are obviously doing that. I'm combing through the models 4 times a day, looking at the changes, why they're changing. And eventually, once we get close to this, I'll start to make my own projections. But right now, it's just kind of a general trend that we're looking at. And we're giving everyone the heads up. All right. A week heads up on this is a pretty big deal. Okay. So that's what we've got. Let's go ahead and answer your questions, and we'll get you on your way here tonight. Okay. Melanie says, I'd love to see some measurable snow this holiday season. Snow is very festive up until Christmas. We consider it festive. And then after that, it changes in January to different words that aren't too bad. February, it gets a little bit worse. March, April, that's when, we start to shorten the words up a little bit. But yes, I agree with you, Melanie. It's very festive, especially for Thanksgiving. It's always nice to have snow on the ground. Kind of rare, but always nice to have snow on the ground. Chad says, not good boating weather. That's true. This wind coming in, Chad, with this low pressure and that prolonged pattern is really going to stir up Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is going to be pretty mad at us. I could see some huge waves on the lake as we go into next week. Jeff, you're absolutely welcome. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to join me tonight. I really do appreciate that. Susan has a good call, and we've mentioned this from our folks at Tiger Plumbing. It's going to be about time to shut off those outside water faucets. Absolutely. That's a good PSA. Again, I think we mentioned it 2 Sundays ago. Just know where so you have your outdoor lines. Just for those, a lot of you probably know how to do that, but those of you that don't or don't know what that means, you have those outdoor spigots at your house, right, that you hook the hose up to. You may have multiple around the house. Maybe you just have one. You need to turn the water line off to that, all right? So you're not shutting your main water line off. That's going to give you problems. You're not going to have water in the house. But there's usually a pipe that's going right out to that spigot, and there's usually a valve right next to that downstairs in your crawl space, whatever it happens to be. You want to turn that valve. If the pipe's like this and the valve's like this, that means it's on. You want to turn that valve so that it's perpendicular to the piping, okay? That will shut that off. After you do that, you want to go outside, open that spigot up, let any water drip out of there, shut it off again, and then you want to put a cover on it, kind of like a blanket. They sell them on Amazon, but you can put a cover on it for the winter, all right? So that way, not only is it going to keep that spigot warmer, but your pipe shut off, okay, for the outdoor spigot. Reason why you want to do that, because that's outdoors, all right? It gets colder outside, and that can freeze, and that can lead to some frozen pipe as you get into the house during that really cold weather, and you want to avoid that. So that's your PSA. I'm not a plumber, but I know enough about outdoor spigots from our friends at Tiger Plumbing to give you that PSA. So there's that. Let's see. So Jay asks, can you show the Euro AI forecast? Yeah, we've got it in here, Jay. COD doesn't have it. This is the AIFS forecast parameter. It does not show. It doesn't show all the details that the other ones do, Jay. But I can show you at least kind of what the system, how it evolves in terms of the low pressure. I can get you that far. It's not going to show rain and snow either, but we can kind of decipher. So this model shows the system coming up, and notice how it doesn't develop that tropical system as much, and it brings in snow by next Thursday. And so the AIFS model is kind of the go-between between the GFS and the Euro operational, the deterministic. And so this one brings in pretty good batch of some cold air that would bring heavier snow into Northwest Indiana in terms of lake effect next Friday. And it has a very similar situation where this low kind of heads by, it wraps back up and then comes at us. So that just keeps the cold air coming. And then it has a pretty decent storm system the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And then it would have more snow giving way to sunshine Wednesday into Thursday of next week. But pretty similar outcome where this cold air dives into the western U.S., low grabs it and brings it through. So that's what we're looking at on that. All right. Good call. Yeah. So Tom, the models have not, in terms of AI. I mean, they've always used it. I mean, that's what a model is, right? It's taking all this input and it's coming up with a solution. Okay. So AI has been around in terms of modeling for a long time, but in terms of, asking it to do something, giving it prompts where you can dictate what it says or fix what it says or ask different solutions, stuff like that. Not on our level. Perhaps at the level of the folks that are making the models and putting the input in there. Perhaps they're getting some data on that, but not really here. And it's funny because we're diving into AI at work. We're taking training on it and stuff because much like for those that aren't familiar with AI and kind of where it's going, I mean, you hear about it all the time, but we need to start learning how to use it. We really do, because much like the internet, when it first started, we're like, what's this? And who's going to use this? AI is going to be kind of like the new internet in terms of what we're able to do. And it doesn't mean it's going to take over weather forecasting or anything like that. Right now it's in its beginning phases. If you type, on any of the different apps that they have, if you type, give me a forecast for Northwest Indiana, 7 days with a lighthearted, tone or something like that. Number one, it's wrong. It's like really wrong. It said like snow showers last night. I'm like, well, that's not true. And I learned the term of what that is, and I forgot. Hallucinations is what it's called when it does that. And you can correct that stuff. But anyway, it's what it's used for, at least in the journalism world right now and the weather world, is, if the people are using it, is to kind of get a rough script or a rough idea of how to present something. And then it presents it, but you still have to correct it. You still have to fact check. You still have to put it in your own words. And the people that aren't doing that, you're going to see a lot of errors, and it's going to sound like, it's just not going to sound like them. And so that's why I'm going to continue to do these videos for you, right? So we can actually talk face to face, and you're not talking to a robot. But it's interesting. I don't know how it's going to change weather down the road, but I just know right now it's certainly in the works. So we'll see for sure. All right. It's been a good November, says Pearl. Absolutely. Yeah, it certainly has, Pearl. We'll see where we go into late November and December. An interesting fact for you guys too. This is good water cooler fact that I was looking up. I said it on the TV side of things a couple days ago. This was one of our latest. The other day we were in the 40s for highs. This is one of the latest first day in the 40s. All right, we hadn't had a 40-degree day, meaning in the 40s for highs all fall so far, and we just had one the other day. It's the latest that we've had that in a long time. And I went back in time, and there were only 2 times since the late 1800s that we hit, or that we had a day that late in the 40s in the season. Bottom line, it's been a mild fall so far. But the 2 years that had that late day in the 40s it was 94 and 78. And both those winters, we had a lot of snow. In fact, 78 was one of the worst winters across the Great Lakes with major snowstorms. So it's interesting. So here's the takeaway from it. Just because it's been a mild fall and a mild November and September does not mean it's going to be a mild winter. Okay. There's correlation that actually says because it's been so mild, we're going to get hit hard this winter. So we'll see what happens. All right. Mother Nature's kind of on her own in terms of this, but I don't want anyone to say, hey, last 5 years have been nothing, and let their guard down. We don't need this. We don't need this. I don't need to chop wood for the winter. things could be different this winter. And the last couple winters have been El Nino winters as well. And we're heading into a weak La Nina. It's not a strong La Nina, but La Nina does tend to be more favorable for snow here in the region. So we'll see. All right, you're welcome. Yeah, Rich, absolutely. I hope it is fun. Tom says, if 4 of Scump were from the north, how many types of snow would he describe versus rain? Tom, probably a lot. I mean, there are a lot more terms for, I mean, no two snowflakes are the same, number one. So that leads us to have all sorts of terms for the different size snowflakes and different patterns. But I would imagine a lot. Dragonka, you're absolutely welcome. Thank you. Jay, you're welcome as well. Jeff asked a good question. This is a good question. Could this fizzle out and be nothing, or is it a done deal? Jeff, the cold air in my mind is a done deal. We have warm lakes, so cold air over the warm lakes, late November. We're going to have lake effect snow somewhere. So the lake effect is a done deal in my mind too. My question is, how much snow do we get for the rest of us here in Northwest Indiana, right? Does it stay mainly lake effect, or do we get some lobes of snow through here that put down the 2 to 4 inches that, the models are hinting at right now? And then obviously focus is going to be on the lake effect. Does it get into Porter County? Does it get into LaPorte County? We know we're going to have snow around. We're going to have lake effect snow around. That, in my mind, is a done deal. But how do the details work out? I could foresee, worst case scenario, if you're a snow lover, is that it just stays lake effect and we get some snow showers, but not much accumulation outside of the snow belt. All right. Best case scenario is we get a couple little drivers of energy that come along that area of low pressure and they drop 2 to 4 inches across the entire region. Plus we get lake effect. All right. So those are the details that I'm going to be working out over the next couple model runs in the next week as well. And that's what we'll continue to watch. But the cold air is a lock. We are going to get into that cold air. That's a lock for sure. Maxwell, what a great point. You're always so positive. At least our earliest sunset is now less than a month away. You're welcome. That's a really good point. Yeah, our days are going to start getting longer here pretty soon. We got another month or so. Jeff, it's a good question. Do you think it's going to be a snowy winter overall? I don't know. I really don't. The trend shows that it will be. I have a hunch that we are going to have a snowier winter overall. But where are we coming from? I mean, we're coming from pretty much snowless winters the last couple of years with virtually non-existent lake effect. There were a couple big events in LaPorte County over the last couple winters, but outside of that, it's been not really that snowy, right? But with the pattern change to a La Nina, and again, it's not just La Nina, there's a lot of variables that go into this, a lot of different oscillations that we keep an eye on. And no meteorologist has it pinned down towards how all these play together and how it impacts the weather. I mean, honestly, we just need to break it down week by week and say, here's what we're expecting this week. Here's what we're expecting this week. But the trend does look snowier this winter, Jeff. So we'll see if it comes true. Let's see. Yeah, Mean Streak 1170. I mean, you brought it up on our YouTube channel there. I fear we will pay for the mild weather. History shows that, that trend is very true a lot of the time. So there's that. Hi, Deshaun. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. We're in for a lot of snow. We've been blessed with the mild fall. It's in the low 50s here in Gary. Yep, it is. It's going to be a raw rain tonight. Yuck. Teresa, you're welcome. Yep, very good, Pearl. More daylight, seconds, but I will take. Yeah, it crawls at first. We get like 2 seconds a day, but hey, it's a mental thing. If we're getting longer days, there's that. We'll see. Yeah, and Maxwell, I mean, it could be the beginning of a long winter. We'll see. It just has a different feel to it this year. It just does. I mean, in terms of the weather pattern overall and all of that. Honor, thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. It's been a while. I haven't heard from you in a while. Hey, what model besides the Euro do you like best? The HRRR when the storm gets closer? Yeah, Honor. They're all good. I mean, they're all good for different things. So as of right now, when we're looking at something 10 to 15 days out, all right, which we are, we look at the global models, which are like the Euro, the GFS, the GEM is another one to look at, which is a Canadian model. I usually comb through those three. I'll look at the deterministic models, okay, which are kind of the sum of all the ensembles. If something's off or seems weird to me as a meteorologist with the deterministic models, I'll dive in and I'll go into the ensembles, which there's hundreds of ensemble models, which are the same things run and with different outcomes, right? And I'll look at those and see if there's consensus with something that's not showing up in the deterministic. All right. That's a lot of work. And I usually don't do that unless something's really off in my mind. But we'll look at deterministic models. That's really all we look at this point. All right. Once we get closer to the event, once we're 84 hours out, few days out, we can start to look at the NAM. The NAM nest is a good one as well for those fine-tuned details. That's when we start to hone in on that forecast, like exactly how much snow and where. That's when we start to determine that. And then you can go to the HRRR as we get, a day or so out, day and a half out. There's a long-range HRRR as well. I've got models that work that are exclusive to us called the Graph, which are great. They're from the Weather Company, which we are bought into. And those are great as well. And those go out about as far as the HRRR does. They'll go out a day or two. But yeah, honing in on that once it gets closer. For the details, right now we just look for trends. So that's kind of how it goes. Maxwell, that's interesting. Talking about thunder snow. Yeah, I mean, I could see it with these warm lakes and cold air coming over the lakes. We could certainly have that for sure, especially during some of those more intense lake effect bands. The one thing that we have not looked at, and I apologize, are temperatures. I just want to show you how cold we're expected to get. So remember, the Euro brings that cold air in here last. Okay, so I mean, look at this warm up. The Euro has us out ahead of this system, getting up into the mid 60s next Tuesday. All right. And you guys are going to be like, what snow? What's this crazy guy talking about? Has us 50 degrees or so on Wednesday. And then here comes the cold. Friday, high of about 39. That's not crazy. And then it gets kind of crazy for this time of year. 35, 31 for a high, 32 for a high. What was Sunday? No, Sunday was 31. So right around the freezing mark. Lows at night in the 20s. And then it brings even colder air. It has 29 for a high the Tuesday following. And then it has 27 for a high the Wednesday following. So that's some cold air for this time of year. And the fact that it lasts for multiple days, that's really the difference. All right. Chrissy, I'm sorry. We already did say it several times. It's that time of year. We're allowed to say it up till Christmas. So there's there. Okay. I think that's it. I think we've answered all your questions. As always, guys, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to join me tonight. I hope this was helpful. The whole point of doing this, as I always say, is to help you guys out. Just to give you a heads up, first of all, to let you know kind of what you're seeing on social media. You can kind of call out some of the people that are just throwing out model guidance and just reading it for what it is, because it's not all about what the models say. It's about our interpretation of what the models say. All right. And hopefully you got that nice and clear here tonight. Okay. All right. We'll continue to be with you again. We're on the radio side of things. X-Rock, Indiana 105 and Z107. All carry our forecasts. We do talkbacks back and forth with them in the morning and the midday hours. Just a lot of fun. But you can catch the forecasts on there during the day. Maybe play them at work. We also have regionweather.com for you as well. I have that daily email that goes out every single morning. It's non-invasive. Just go to regionweather.com. You can click on email sign up on the right-hand side. It's one email a day. I handcraft it in the morning over coffee. I'll have a graphic. It's specific to Northwest Indiana. It's not AI or a computer-based model. It's me typing and making a picture, and you'll get it every morning in your inbox so you know what's coming your way for the day or if there's something new, long-term trends. So go ahead and sign up for that if you can. I don't get anything for that, all right? It's for you. I think we've got almost 500 people that are signed up for that, and I appreciate that. That just melts my heart that I get to type to you every morning, but something cool that you can have to kind of help you as we go throughout this winter season. All right. Guys, have a wonderful Wednesday night. We'll continue to keep you updated on this. And again, obviously, regionweather.com. We've got updates every day and on our Facebook